Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Opening Decades-Old Canned Foods. This is part 5. What we have today is a can of evaporated milk, a can of asparagus, a can of baker's coconut, a can of pea soup, and a can of smoked sturgeon fish. The sturgeon fish here is from the early 60s. This can here is from the 50s. This can is from the 50s. This is from the early 60s, and this one here is from the late 50s. We're going to open them up today and see what they look like, and possibly perform a few tests on them. We're going to take a quick look at every can to see exactly what they all say. The first one, evaporated milk. A lot of people think evaporated milk is just evaporated then recondensed to make this. That is not the case. Evaporated milk is 60% boiled down. If you want condensed milk, you add an additional 50% sugar, and that's what makes it thick. This is still pretty watery, so let's get a quick look at this label. Notice how there's no zip code back in the 50s on the can anywhere. There's also no barcodes on these. Those are much too old to have a barcode. That didn't come out until the 70s. It's in pretty good condition for its age. It's got a slight bulge. Next can here of asparagus. Pride of Illinois. Tender all green asparagus. Cut spears, tips included. This one here is probably from around 1964. The bottom of this can is still kind of shiny, but the top is just absolutely rusted, and it has a slight bulge to it too. A lot of pressure building up from the food rotting. Now this here is from the 50s, and this container is in such great condition. It looks almost brand new, like it was just printed out. You see it has that old lead seal. Back then, solder contained lead. And right here on the top and bottom, it's still super shiny. Soup. French Canadian style. The bottom is in pretty good condition. The top here has a little bit of rust, but it doesn't appear to have rusted through the container. The next can here has a slight bulge to it. This is sturgeon. This can here I would estimate from the mid-60s. For its age, the can is in pretty good condition. You can see it's stamped right there, USA. Top is in pretty good condition. So, we're going to start opening these up now. So I'm concerned that it's going to spray or squirt pretty far. So I'm going to put on some safety glasses just in case. And this might be pretty stinky too. So I'm going to put on a mask for this, just in case it does spray. So let's start opening this up. I'm going to start off slowly to release the pressure in this. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I don't smell anything yet. but it's definitely bad. You know what it smells like to me? It smells like when you make macaroni and cheese. You know how macaroni and cheese smells as soon as you mix it all together and the cheese gets wet? That's what it smells like. It smells like macaroni and cheese, and that is not a normal smell for this. That is actually kind of gross. Oh, that smells so bad. Oh, look at the bottom of that. Gross. Look at the top of the can. Look at those big chunks. Oh, that is gross. Can I get the big chunks out of there? Oh, look at that. They're hard. Look at that stuff. That is so gross. Oh, yuck. That is nasty. That is some nasty stuff. Next, we're going to be opening up the asparagus. Okay, let's try opening this one up now. The bulge is so big on this can that sometimes the can opener has problems even gripping onto these kinds. It's going to be a big hiss. Oh. Oh. Did it spray anywhere? Ah. When it clicked at the end, it sprayed a little. Okay, let's take a look at that. That is the asparagus. Pretty fallen apart after all these years, so let's go ahead and dump it out. Oh, look how fallen apart that is. And look at the inside of the can. You got some corrosion all around the sides. Okay, up next we're going to open up the baker's coconut. This one I think is going to be the least disgusting out of the cans because it's just a bacon ingredient. It sounds like it's just a dry product. So we're going to take a look at this. Small hiss. Okay, that's what we have inside. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. That is not black mold, like a lot of people seem to think it is when I open the bananas. When you have something like this dry, it turns brown like that and black just over time. It's just like a banana. If you leave it on your counter, it's going to turn black. That's just what happens. It doesn't mean it's moldy. It's just starting to rot. So, what does that smell like? You'd still smell the coconut and also some grossness, but let's go ahead and dump that out. That kind of looks like some kind of tobacco. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and dump this out. See how it's all dry? That's actually a big surprise. I thought something this old would have been all stuck together. This means it was stored very nicely because you see how it all came out really nicely? I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually supposed to look like that because this must have been preserved awesome. Just look at the container. It's in great condition. Okay, everyone, here we go to the next can. The pea soup. Okay, let's take a look at this one. That one didn't open perfectly. Oh, but look at that. That looks like some pretty gross stuff, right? Take a look at that. It's all stuck together in one giant piece. Yuck. What's it smell like? A really strong metal iron smell, but you can really smell like potato in that. A really up close look at this stuff. That was funny. It came out the shape of the can and it just smushed all over the place. Look at that. You can see some pieces of pea. Yeah, I see a lot of peas in there. I don't know what this other stuff is. Like, what are these long things there? What does the can say? Pea soup. Okay, so it says ingredients. We have whole yellow peas, shortening, onions. Okay, that's got to be onions. Those long things I'm seeing there. This has got to be onion. Okay, everyone. Finally, our last can. Sturgeon fish. Let's see what this looks like. There's a lot of pressure in this one. Not too bad. Looks like cat or dog food. That actually smells great. It smells like, you know what, it doesn't even smell like fish. Because it's smoked, this smells like ham. It smells like fresh canned ham, and it doesn't look that bad either. Look, that doesn't look too bad. Definitely not going to eat it because I know it's contaminated in some way. All canned food this old I have ever tested has been contaminated. This is so stinky. I've been holding my breath through this whole video. I want to put a little drop on because we're going to take a look at this under a microscope. All you need is one tiny little drop like that. And we're also going to take a drop of regular fresh milk so we can compare them. Okay, that is good. I want to give that a little push on the sides to make sure it spreads out. It's going to take a little bit of this stuff. I want to put one small drop on the slide so we can look at it later. All we need is one little drop of the liquid. Okay, that's good enough to be able to look at later. I've been cleaning this thing out between each sample. I'm going to get one tiny little drip onto the middle of this so we can test it. Okay, that's all we need. And that's even good because we got some little particles in there too. Got to get my cover slip onto there. Okay, that's spread out nicely. Go ahead and get that dirty in there. I just need a tiny little bit. I'm going to take a smear. A few little smears on this microscope slide so that I can take a look at this on the microscope. There's not a lot of liquid. I thought there was going to be a lot of liquid. Usually when you open fish, there's a lot of juice. In this case, there was not a lot. Water test kit here. It has these tabs. I'm going to dip one of these down inside of the can. And when this develops, it'll tell us what's dangerous about this can. It tells you what different metals like lead, iron, anything that could be in this. Because I can guarantee something's bad is in this. You dip it in for 2 seconds, you pull it back out, and these color keys here will tell you what's wrong with it. The little bit of food on there doesn't make a difference as long as it gets contact with the liquid in there. I'm going to go ahead and place that off to the side for a few minutes. Okay, I paused the video to do this because this test only takes a minute to develop. The pH is around 8.5. The total alkalinity is around 80. The nitrate and nitrite are both at 0. The lead is around 200 parts per million, so dangerous lead levels. Copper, about 0. Iron is way up off the scale. It's probably around that 500 mark plus. After that, chlorine, there is no chlorine in it. And considering what's in there, if you were testing the hardness, this would be considered soft. It's around that 0 to 25, the lighter greens. It's not into the browns, which is that top square there. If you're able to see, that is a lighter green. So there's some dangerous metals in here. Lots and lots of iron, dangerous amount of lead, because back then they used to seal cans with solder, which contained lead, and they leak into the food after all these years. So that is some toxic mess. Go ahead, drop this thing down on the side for a few seconds, bring it back up. See what we got. Knock off the little bit of debris that got stuck on there. Some of them changed immediately, so we got some stuff going on in here. Let's take a look at what this exactly means in 1 minute. Okay, the test is done developing. The pH in this is around 6.4. The alkalinity is really low, around the 0 point. And there's no nitrate or nitrite. Okay, lead. There's around 100 parts per million of lead. The next one is copper. It's looking like there's might be a little bit of copper in there, around that between the 1 and the 3 parts per million. Now the next one, iron. That is like a nightmare. That is off the charts. You see how it's orange? This chart doesn't even go up to that bright of an orange. The iron in this soup is so bad. Okay, the next thing here, there's no chlorine. Now, the hardness of it. The hardness, I would say, is around here. Probably around 75 to 100. The hardness of this. So, there are some pretty dangerous things in there. There's a lot of lead. There's a lot of iron. The other things really are not big to your health. 60-year-old milk. This is the asparagus drop. This is part of an actual asparagus. This right here is a coconut smear, like the oil that was in the can. This is part of the pea soup. That's the drop I took. This is a smear from the fish, and that is an actual piece of onion from the soup. This is the 60-year-old milk under the microscope at 100 times. This is the milk at 250 times. It's very possible that the things you're seeing right there might be bacteria cells. The bigger things you're seeing are air bubbles trapped under the slides. All the really small things you're seeing are fat cells. Now I'm going up again. This is 1,000 times. Once again, you can really start to see the fat cells. Now you can see everything starting to move around with the current in the slide. Those are all fat cells moving around. Now we're going to go up again. This is 2,500 times. It's kind of hard to focus in at such a high level, but you can start to see the picture now. Those are all fat cells from the milk. I'm going to show you what regular milk looks like under here so you can compare. It does not look too much different, except the color is a little different. What you're looking at now is brand new Friendly Farms milk from Walmart. This is 100 times. You can see already the fat cells are much smaller. Everything is much smaller because it's not rotten. Now we're going up again to 250 times. This is what the milk looks like. If you look really carefully, It is moving around. I'm switching the focus slightly because at different focuses you can see some different things at different levels in the milk. Now I'm going to go up to 1,000 times. This is the milk under 1,000 times. You can really see the fat cells now as they're slowly bumping around. We're going to take this up another notch. 2,500 times. What you're seeing now is 2,500 times the milk. There we go. This is the drop of asparagus juice that I took from the can. See in there, those are just pieces, random pieces of the asparagus that we can really actually zoom in on, and they're actually pretty cool. We can still move around in here. You can see a lot of different things in this asparagus juice. Like, you can really start to see the different cells that the asparagus has. Let's look for an interesting piece to zoom in on. And that is starting to look real cool. Okay, look at that. Different sections of asparagus. This is the slide of the entire piece of asparagus. I put a giant piece onto the slide, and now we're taking a look at that. It was actually completely unnecessary because we have all these tiny little microscopic pieces that you can't even see with the naked eye. Even though I'm only zoomed in 100 times, all these little things here I didn't even realize I was adding. Let's go back to the big piece. What you're looking at now is the smear I took from the coconut oil. Since the pieces of coconut were too big to put themselves on there, and they're dark and I wouldn't be able to see through them. So we're going to take a quick look around in here. This is one of those pieces. It's very difficult to focus in. Does that look like a face to anybody else? You see the eyes? Kind of looks like some character with big teeth and long pointy ears. Looks like a face to me. Move back in over here now, where we have a whole bunch of weird stuff on the smear. Now this piece of onion here is so small, it's like half the size of a grain of rice, but flat. So we're going to take a look at this. This is the piece of onion, the yellow part, that I'm now entering. That right there is a thicker piece of onion. Okay, last slide. This is the fish. We're taking a look at the canned fish, which actually looked pretty normal. It smelled actually really good, like ham. There's more of that stuff. Those big clumps. Absolutely nobody in their right mind would ever eat out of a can like this. Look at this. After 1 hour of drying, they have corroded so badly. This is why the water test came out so awful. Hope this video was interesting to everybody. If you want to see the full-length video of looking under the microscope, that'll be posted shortly after this video, probably tomorrow, after editing. Thanks for watching.